Life becomes lighter when you stop looking sideways. Every moment spent measuring yourself against someone else is a moment stolen from your own growth. Stoicism teaches that peace begins the moment you withdraw your attention from what you cannot control, especially the actions and opinions of others. The only true contest worth joining is the one against your own weakness, your own habits, your own yesterday. When you focus inward, you discover that strength was never missing, it was simply misplaced. We live in a world obsessed with comparison. Everywhere you turn, there's a scoreboard. Followers, likes, status, possessions. People race not toward peace, but toward approval. Yet Stoicism reminds us, no one else is your rival. You are not here to outperform another person. You are here to outperform who you were before. The Stoics taught that real victory is silent. It happens within the soul. Each sunrise offers a chance to begin again, to act better, think deeper, and react wiser than the day before. The man who competes only with himself never loses. His standard is progress, not perfection. When you wake each morning, don't ask, "Am I ahead of them?" Ask, "Am I better than I was?" That question changes everything. It shifts you from envy to evolution. It teaches you to value your own journey, not someone else's applause. Comparison poisons the mind. It blinds us to our own blessings and dulls our focus. When you compare, your energy leaks into places it doesn't belong. You start chasing shadows, not substance. Growth, however, demands solitude. True improvement often happens when no one is watching, when you are quietly building your discipline, tending your thoughts, and refining your actions. The Stoics valued stillness for this reason, because stillness breeds strength. In silence, you can see clearly. You can see where you fall short and where you've quietly risen. You learn that isolation is not punishment, it is preparation. Growth is slow, private, and deeply personal. It is not a performance. When you stop comparing, your mind stops running and begins walking steadily toward mastery. You start to appreciate the rhythm of your own pace, and in that steady rhythm, you find peace. There will always be things outside your control. People will misunderstand you. Life will hand you losses you didn't deserve. The Stoics taught that peace comes from separating what you can control from what you cannot. You cannot command the weather, the economy, or the opinions of others, but you can command your response. You can choose your words, your actions, your attitude. When you realize that, you gain freedom. Most suffering comes not from events themselves, but from our resistance to them. We wish the world to obey our will, yet it never will. The Stoic path is the art of surrendering what lies beyond your reach and mastering what lies within. When something goes wrong, ask, "Is this within my control?" If the answer is no, let it go. If the answer is yes, act wisely. This simple filter clears away the noise of frustration. It teaches you to live with focus instead of frenzy. The Stoic doesn't waste energy wrestling storms. He learns to steer his ship through them. Judging others feels powerful at first. It feeds the ego. But over time, it weakens you. Every moment spent dissecting someone else's flaws is a moment stolen from improving your own. The Stoics believed that self-mastery requires self-attention. When you criticize others, you neglect yourself. When you gossip, you trade discipline for distraction. The wise person observes without condemnation, because he knows everyone battles unseen wars. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That is the Stoic way. To build quietly, not boast loudly. The more you focus on others' mistakes, the less you see your own. And the less you see your own, the slower you grow. Real strength is silent correction. Instead of pointing fingers, lift mirrors, ask, "Where can I improve?" That question disarms the ego and awakens the soul. To judge less and reflect more is to walk the Stoic path of peace. The Stoic mind seeks order within, not approval from without. Modern life conditions us to seek validation, to prove our worth through external trophies. But the Stoics remind us that no applause can fill an empty soul. You can gain the world's approval and still feel hollow. Peace doesn't come from being liked. It comes from being aligned. aligned with your values, your purpose, your principles. A mind that depends on praise is forever enslaved to others' moods. When they cheer, you rise. When they criticize, you fall. That is not freedom. Freedom is knowing who you are without needing anyone to confirm it. The Stoic builds his worth from within, through integrity, effort, and reason. His satisfaction comes from doing what is right, not from being seen doing it. Approval is unstable, virtue is not. When you stop chasing validation, you start living authentically. You act, not for applause, but from conviction. You find that silence becomes more powerful than recognition, and integrity becomes your loudest statement. Progress, not validation. That is the essence of the Stoic journey. Every day you are sculpting yourself, not to impress, but to evolve. The goal is not to be admired, but to be improved. You cannot move forward if you are chained to the need for validation. People's approval shifts like the wind. It cannot be your compass. The Stoics remind us that fulfillment lies in growth, in doing what must be done even when no one notices. A tree does not need applause to grow tall. It simply reaches for the sun, quietly, consistently. In the same way, progress is often unseen, small daily efforts that compound into strength. Every choice you make to stay disciplined when no one watches, every temptation you resist, every emotion you master, that is progress. It is invisible, but it builds character. The Stoic takes pride not in appearing strong, but in becoming strong. He values growth over glory, and the steady flame of progress over the fleeting spark of validation. The opinions of others are loud but shallow. They echo for a moment and fade. Your actions, however, are truth. The Stoics knew that what people say about you does not define you. How you live does. You cannot control whether others misunderstand, criticize, or praise you. What matters is whether your actions align with your values. Let others speak. You stay steady. Their noise cannot disturb a mind anchored in purpose. When you let opinions guide you, you become a puppet pulled by invisible strings. But when your compass is your conscience, no wind can sway you. The Stoic listens, but does not absorb every voice. He filters noise through reason. He asks, "Does this help me grow?" If not, he moves on. Your truth lives in your actions, in your discipline, your kindness, your consistency. Let that speak louder than any reputation. People forget words. They remember character. The Stoic chooses to act well and lets time be the judge. Focus is a form of power. Every great achievement is born from the ability to direct energy toward one thing and stay there. When your attention is scattered, pulled by comparison, gossip, and distraction, you lose strength. The Stoics trained their minds like warriors, learning to guard their focus as sacred. What you give your attention to shapes who you become. If you feed your energy to others' lives, you starve your own. Every minute wasted worrying about someone else's success is a minute stolen from your own potential. Focus builds momentum, and momentum builds mastery. When you concentrate on your purpose, distractions lose their pull. You realize how little others' noise matters when you're deeply engaged in your craft, your growth, your duty. The Stoic understands that the mind must be trained daily to return again and again to what matters. Guard your focus as you would your freedom, for they are the same. When your focus is whole, your power is whole. The wise build quietly while others talk loudly. In every era, noise fills the air, opinions, boasts, predictions. But those who create lasting impact rarely announce it. They are too busy doing the work. Stoicism teaches humility and progress, to labor not for display but for excellence. The world applauds noise because it's visible. But noise fades, results remain. The Stoic path is quiet mastery, the daily repetition of effort without the need for recognition. It's the discipline to improve one brick at a time, even when no one applauds the wall you're building. When others boast, you build. When they argue, you act. When they seek validation, you seek virtue. The truly strong don't prove, they produce. They understand that greatness doesn't need to be advertised. The tree that bears fruit does not shout. Its work speaks for itself. Be patient in your progress. silent in your building, and confident that time reveals all truth. The quiet builder always outlasts the loud talker. Self-mastery is the highest form of freedom. When you govern yourself, your emotions, impulses, and reactions, no one else can. The Stoics believed that external control ends where internal control begins. People lose peace because they let others dictate their emotions. Someone insults them, and they react. Someone praises them, and they soar. Their mood becomes a reflection of the outside world, not their inner strength. But when you master yourself, the opinions, moods, and actions of others lose their power over you. You become steady, calm in chaos, composed in conflict. Self-control is not suppression, it is direction. It means choosing your response consciously, rather than being dragged by impulse. The Stoic trains his mind as a warrior trains his body, daily, deliberately, patiently. He learns to pause before reacting, to think before speaking, to act with purpose rather than emotion. When you master yourself, you gain peace. You no longer need to control others, for you have learned to control the only thing that ever truly mattered, yourself. Focusing on yourself is not selfish, it is sacred. It is the path to strength, wisdom, and serenity. When you focus inward, you no longer live as a slave to others' opinions. You stop competing, comparing, and judging. You learn to build, grow, and refine. You start living intentionally. Every great Stoic knew that a calm mind creates a powerful life. Peace is not the absence of challenges, it is the presence of clarity. That clarity comes when you know what is yours to change and what is not. The world outside will always be noisy, but within you lies silence, waiting to be cultivated. When you stop chasing the noise, you start hearing your own voice again, the voice that knows who you are, what you value, and what you must become. The Stoic way is simple but not easy. It asks you to turn away from the crowd and face yourself. It asks you to give up the pleasure of being right for the peace of being wise. It asks you to replace judgment with understanding, reaction with reflection, and comparison with creation. It's not about isolating yourself from people, but about freeing yourself from dependence on them. You can love others without losing yourself in them. You can care deeply while staying centered. Stoicism doesn't teach coldness, it teaches control. It teaches that emotions are not enemies, but signals, to be understood, not obeyed. The Stoic feels everything but is ruled by nothing. That's the power of focus, the ability to remain still inside, no matter how fast the world spins outside. Imagine your mind as a garden. Every thought is a seed. When you constantly focus on others, you plant weeds, comparison, envy, resentment. They grow quickly and choke your peace. But when you focus on yourself, you plant strength, gratitude, and discipline. These take longer to grow, but their roots are deep. You water them daily with patience and action. Over time, your garden flourishes quietly. The weeds fade because you no longer feed them attention. That is the Stoic approach. Tend to your own mind, and let others tend to theirs. The beauty of your life will speak for itself. You don't need to shout about your progress when it becomes visible through your peace. To live as a Stoic is to live intentionally. Every moment becomes an opportunity to practice focus, humility, and discipline. You don't need to escape the world. You just need to stop letting it control you. The Stoics walked among chaos, yet stayed calm. They faced criticism, loss, and uncertainty, yet remained steady. Their secret was simple. They focused only on what was theirs, their thoughts, their actions, their will. Everything else was just weather passing by. You too can cultivate that peace. Every time you choose patience over anger, reflection over reaction, growth over comparison, you strengthen your inner fortress. That fortress becomes your freedom. It cannot be shaken by praise or insult, success or failure, because it stands on the only unshakable ground, self-control. In a noisy world, focusing on yourself is an act of rebellion. It means choosing silence over spectacle, progress over performance. It means walking your path even when others misunderstand it. The Stoics were not detached from life. They were deeply engaged with it, just not enslaved by it. They lived with purpose, guided by reason, unshaken by opinion. They found joy not in what they owned, but in what they became. You can too. Each day is a new chance to practice focus. Every challenge is a new test of control. Every distraction is a reminder to return to yourself. Slowly, you'll notice that the less you need from others, the more peaceful you become. The less you seek to prove, the more authentic you feel. And the more you master your focus, the brighter your inner light burns. The Stoic doesn't chase greatness. He becomes it quietly through discipline and patience. He doesn't compete with others because his path is his own. He doesn't seek validation because truth speaks louder than applause. He doesn't waste energy judging because he knows every judgment reflects the mind that makes it. His strength lies not in control of others, but in mastery of himself. And from that mastery flows calm, confidence, and freedom. That is the reward of focus. That is the peace of Stoicism. The calm that comes when you stop fighting the world and start refining your soul. So focus on yourself, not out of pride, but out of purpose. Life is too brief to live it through other people's eyes. Every moment you waste comparing, judging, or seeking approval is a moment you could spend becoming. Be so focused on improving your own life that you have no time to envy another's. Be so devoted to your principles that no opinion can shake them. Let your growth be your response to criticism. Let your peace be your revenge against chaos. Let your silence be your strength. The Stoic way isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Slow, steady, inward progress. You won't always get it right, but every time you return to yourself, you win. Because every victory over your impulses, every moment of restraint, every act of patience, that is mastery. In the end, the Stoic lesson is simple but profound. Control yourself, and you control your world. The rest is noise. When you stop competing, comparing, judging, and seeking validation, you reclaim your attention, and with it, your power. You start living deliberately, calmly, courageously. You start to see that peace isn't found in others, it's forged within you. That's what it means to focus on yourself, to tend to your own soul as the highest duty. Because when you master yourself, the world cannot shake you. And that is the quiet strength the Stoics lived by. The strength that builds unshakable peace in a world that never stops shaking.